Here's the scary side of the Pied Piper that you've never heard. A rodent tale of terrifying proportions.
In Hamelin itself, it's held to be a true story.
When a village is overrun by rats, a stranger appears to vanquish the vermin.
Pay a rat catcher. It was a very dirty job, and people who did it were probably very short-lived.
A story of what can happen.
I want my money, and we made an agreement!
When you don't pay your debts. Just like a looming debt in another story, a debt that tears a child from a family. The tale of Rapunzel.
The bargain that characters are willing to make in a fairy tale seem pretty outlandish.
I'll take care of the thing like it was my own.
But a fairy tale childhood isn't always happy.
Young girls were locked up all the time.
This is a tale of frustrated desire.
Rapunzel! Let down your hair!
The story of Rapunzel, obsession and true love. Journey beyond once upon a time and happily ever after into a dark, enchanted and dangerous world. Rediscover familiar tales but with a blood-soaked twist. Here are the gory and shocking bits from earlier versions. Now, the Pied Piper and Rapunzel on Scary Tales. In the year 1284, the small village of Hamelin, Germany, was like most medieval villages, with one major exception. The people of Hamelin had a big problem with little creatures.
Rats are a serious problem. In this era, you dumped your slops in the street. You had rats, you had vermin, everyone had fleas, everyone had bed bugs. People did not bathe in those days. They lived in their own filth.
So rats were a problem because they invaded homes and barns and stalls and places of food storage.
The Pied Piper of Hamelin is different. It's not a fairy tale for starters. It's actually a legend. Now, the legend is different from the fairy tale in that it is set in the real world. Legend is a story that is alleged to have happened, and it generally has to do with either a supernatural event or an extraordinary event. It changes the lives of the protagonists in significant ways.
The Pied Piper is different in that it has an exact setting. It has a town, a real place, the city of Hamelin in Germany. It has a date, it's 1284. And in Hamelin itself, it's held to be a true story.
The people of Hamelin were at their wits' end that fateful evening that they gathered in the town hall to devise a plan for getting rid of the rats.
Quiet!
What are you gonna do now that they're attacking us instead of our livestock?
Yesterday, I narrowly escaped with my life.
I say we gather our families and we leave this cursed place. You close the gates and you burn this village down. And the rats, too.
Get Leofric out of here.
We're not going to burn the village.
This is the work of the devil. We need a priest.
A lot of good ours has done us.
How about a rat catcher?
Another one.
But this had been tried many times in the past.
God rest his soul.
What Hamlin really needed was not so much a catcher, but a killer.
Cities would often have a whole team of people whose job was to keep the rats down. Most cities would not pay to have their streets cleaned, but they would pay a rat catcher. If you're going to be a rat catcher, you have to hunt them in their home environment, which are sewers, cellars, any place dark, dirty, filthy. That's where the rats are. That's where you have to go and get them. This exposes you to all the inherent diseases that breed in filth. And associating with rats, of course, associates you with the diseases the rats carry. Not only the plague, but typhus, rickettsia, all the flea-borne diseases.
We need 1,000 cats.
Rats have eaten all of the cats in the village already. I don't see how 1,000 or even 100,000 would do the trick.
The townsfolk were about to give up hope when a stranger, wearing a multicolored pied coat, spoke up from the back of the crowd.
What you really need is me.
What?
I said, excuse me. What you really need is me.
What are you saying, stranger?
I'm saying I can rid you of your rodent problem.
How? Others have tried and failed.
Well, my dear Mayor, obviously they didn't have my powers of persuasion or this.
You're going to rid our town of rats with that.
Yes. When I play my magical music, the little beasties will do whatever I tell them.
Can you command them to plow my field?
And, sir, you are a special sort, I can see. Now, what would you want in return for saving our village?
I require a small fee. I shall chase every rat from the place for 1,000 guilders.
1,000 guilders would bankrupt our town.
If you don't let me expel these rats, you won't have a town left.
Well, yeah.
Believing that the piper was crazy, the mayor decided to play along with his outrageous proposal.
What say ye, children of Hamlin? Now, do we pay this magician, musician, his fee to rid our town of rats?
Sure.
Yes. All right. I think we have an agreement here. We will gladly pay your fee, if you will please rid our town of rats.
I shall begin first thing tomorrow. By noonday, the rats will be gone. Then I shall be back to collect my fee.
With that, the piper left, and the citizens got back to their debate about what to do about the rats.
We need 1,000 cats.
What really makes us curious about this story is that it appears to be based on an actual historical event that seems to be documented pretty consistently in several historical documents.
The Pied Piper of Hamlin does move in a slightly different mode than most fairy tales because it does have a historical basis. One could call it a legend. Fairy tales begin with once upon a time and ends happily ever after. But with Pied Piper of Hamlin, you have a tragic ending, the most tragic possible ending. There is no happily ever after there.
Coming up, the Pied Piper uses his magic flute to bewitch the rats of Hamlin.
What?
But when the townsfolk refuse to pay the piper for his services,
Then take a collection!
he returns to take more than they bargained for.
It strikes at our deepest fear, losing not just a child, but all the children in a town.
And later, a couple exchange their only child for a bewitched herb.
You won't mind handing over the child when the time is right?
What?
A woman who couldn't conceive, couldn't bear a child, was like a drone.
The little town of Hamlin was overrun with rats, and the townsfolk were at their wits' end. That is, until a strange fellow promised to rid the town of vermin, simply by playing an enchanting melody on his flute. The villagers assumed he was crazy, and agreed to his demand of 1,000 guilders for removing the rats, sure that they'd never see him again. But the piper returned the next morning to do what he had promised to do, get rid of the rats. No one believed he would come back, let alone attempt to make good on his ridiculous pledge. Maybe that's why the people were still in their beds when the piper arrived. And the piper started playing. That fife had a magical effect on those rats.
Wake up. Wake up.
Not tonight.
No, I mean, wake up right now. What? Oh.
Just think about it.
You should just save yourself.
And those little beasts came from every house and gathered around him. As if in a trance, the rats and mice followed the sound of the mesmerizing melody.
Rat catchers use various techniques, often catching rats by hand, using traps, or using dogs like terriers to catch rats. They didn't actually use magical flutes to catch rats.
You would often have a royal rat catcher whose job was to make sure His Highness wasn't troubled by little feet running over him in the night while he was asleep. Queen Victoria had a rat catcher, and his job was to go around to wherever Queen Victoria, her different castles or palaces, and make sure there were no rats on hand.
And the rats followed the piper, followed him out of town. They followed him right into the river, where they all drowned. And like that, the rats were gone. So the rat catcher returned to the town hall to receive his payment. But the townsfolk were terrified by the man who wielded so much questionable magic.
Well, anyone want to say anything to me? Like praise me for saving the city? No, I believe it's customary.
You are in leagues with the devil. Your magic is black. Go away. We don't want you here.
I understand your fear, but look at what I've accomplished. I have vanquished what each of you despises the most.
The powers you possess, they are not natural. Only the evil one grants such wicked magic.
Believe what you will, but understand this. There is white magic and there is black magic. And while I'm capable of both, realize that on this occasion I've demonstrated only the former. Look! The rats are gone.
So leave.
Not until you've fulfilled your part of the bargain. I'll have 1,000 guilders in my pocket before I leave.
Good sir, I'm afraid there's no way we can pay you that sum. Our town coffers are only half full.
Then take a collection! I'll not be trifled with. I want my money, and we made an agreement!
Frankly, sir, we all thought that you were touched in the head. Had we known you could do what you said you could do, we would have taken the negotiation more seriously.
Leave now.
So you're all reneging on this agreement?
No. I'm just saying that we never really had a binding agreement. However, we do all agree that you deserve something. So, how about 50 guilders?
You insult me. And you underestimate my magic.
Why should we pay you anything? The rats are gone, and so should you be. Take him outside the city gates, and make sure he never comes back.
I vanquished what you most despise. I'll return to take what you most prize.
So Hamlin was free of rats and everyone slept well. But that would be the last peaceful evening for the cursed village of Hamlin. Henceforth, regret fueled their nightmares, accompanied by a haunting melody. Coming up, an angry Pied Piper seeks revenge against the people of Hamlin, but his victims will be those who are most innocent. The children will pay for the sins of their parents.
But if 130 children were led away from the town, never to be seen again, that's a shocking event.
Having rid the village of Hamlin of all its rats, the piper returned for his payment. But when the villagers refused to meet their end of the bargain, he warned them that there were consequences to not paying the piper. Early Sunday morning, June the 26th, in the year of our Lord, 1284, the adult townspeople attended church, for it was St. John's and St. Paul's Day, while the children were left to do their chores. The piper started playing once more, a song only the children could hear. And just as the rats followed the piper, so did the children. He led them out of town toward the river. Many little ones did not make it across. The piper led those who made it across the river to the Coppin Mountain outside of the town and into the cave on top. And just as the last child entered, the ground shook and boulders fell, sealing the cave forever. No one knows what happened inside that cave. Some say he killed the children. Others want to believe that he led them out into Transylvania.
He gets his revenge by playing his pipe again, playing beautiful music that seduces all of the children in the village. It's a story that is just so fraught with mystery, and it strikes at our deepest fear, losing not just a child, but all the children in a town.
This is where the storybook Pied Piper legend ends, but it's where the real-life mystery begins.
Now, one of the first clues that we have historically was an inscription on a stained glass window in the market church in Hamlin from around 1300. The stained glass window purportedly showed a man in colorful dress surrounded by children. Then it said, on the day of John and Paul, 130 children in Hamlin went to Calvary and were brought through all kinds of danger to the Coppin Mountain. Period. That's the core of the story.
The story evolved through the centuries to resemble the legend that we know today, picking up bits and pieces along the way.
Beyond the inscription for the stained glass window is a document from around 1430, a Latin manuscript. And it says that a man was playing on a silver pipe, and it introduces the piper idea. It's only in 1565 that we get a much fuller description of the rat infestation and the contract, the bargain that he strikes with the people of the city to eliminate the rats.
Experts can trace the key embellishments to the story, but that does not solve the real mystery. The mystery about the actual event that could have spawned the legend in the first place.
Because the legend of the Pied Piper appears to have some basis in historical fact, people have always wondered about the meaning of this departure of the children. One explanation was that the children of Hamlin left as part of the Children's Crusade. The Children's Crusade was purportedly comprised of young children who were on their way to the Holy Land to reclaim it.
Others believe disease was the real culprit.
Hamlin could have lost its children through a number of different ways. I think one of the most likely ways that many children may have disappeared is simply through death from illness. One of the things that, again, we modern people forget is that at one time, the majority of a family's children might have died before the age of 2 or 3. So the experience of losing a child was one that was common to every family at one time.
More recent theories point to the possibility that the Piper was a recruiter of sorts.
Some have suggested that the group that went east went willingly, because it was not uncommon in walled medieval towns for there to be overpopulation. And that seems to be the consensus of scholars, that this was an emigration of some kind that took place in 1284.
We may never know what exactly happened to the children of Hamlin. There are holes in the story, as there are holes in the hearts of the parents who lost their children that tragic day.
Now, if this story is true, if 130 children in 1284 were led away from Hamlin, not necessarily into a mountain or following a magical piper, but if 130 children were led away from the town, never to be seen again, that's a shocking event.
From that day forward, one particular street, the Bungalowsenstrasse, has been silent. Music is prohibited even during wedding processions in memory of the 130 children of Hamlin who were lost that day to a man wearing a funny outfit and wielding a magical fife. Coming up, a maiden finds herself locked in a tower by an old hag.
Rapunzel! Rapunzel! Let down your hair!
But when her prison becomes a love nest,
it was so shocking somehow that Rapunzel would be having sex in that tower.
She is punished and cursed. The story of Rapunzel.
I'll teach you to be so disrespectful of your elders!
No, stop!
There. You won't forget me anytime soon.
In a village far away, there lived a humble man and his devoted wife. They weren't rich, but they had everything they could ever want in each other, except for one thing. For years, the happy couple had hoped for a child, and on this one point, the both of them were very sad.
The backstory that we see in Rapunzel is actually very interesting because, again, it shows that even if you do find the love of your life, you still might have frustrated desires. In this case, the happily married couple that had difficulty having a child.
Are you not feeling well?
I am not. But I don't know what troubles me. Oh, I just had a thought. What if our prayers have finally been answered? What if we are to be blessed at last with a child?
A woman who couldn't conceive, couldn't bear a child, was like a drone. She consumed, but she did not produce. And therefore, she might be treated with pity, but she would still be regarded as basically a useless human being.
Oh, is it too much to hope that the pangs I feel might be a sign that we are to be a family? Oh, I would give anything to have a child.
But why do you feel this way? Just because your stomach is upset?
It's not just that. It's something else, something strange. I want something, and I can almost taste it, but I don't know what it is.
Though she didn't know it yet, the woman was indeed with child, and she began to have strange cravings. The Grimms included the story of Rapunzel in their first collection, published in 1812. But the story may go back much further, at least 1,000 years. The window of the couple's cottage looked out onto a beautiful garden, splendid vegetables growing in neat little rows. But though the man and his wife could look into the garden through their window, they did not own it, nor did they have permission to enter it. Anyone sneaking into that garden would be taking their life in their hands, for the garden was owned by a sorceress. The wife, standing by the window, was enchanted, perhaps bewitched, by the fragrance of a particular herb, and she was soon overtaken with a craving for it, stronger than anything she had ever felt.
Rapunzel is the perfect name for that story, rampion. Rampion is a plant that can fertilize itself. It's known as an autogamous plant. That is, it divides up so the male part of it can fertilize the female part of it. So it brings together the male and the female principle in a single entity.
Can't you smell it?
Smell what?
That Rapunzel. Oh, it's filling the air. It's filling my head. I can't think straight. Oh, dear Father in heaven, I don't think I'll be able to survive if I can't eat some of that Rapunzel.
Well, isn't a woman in your condition allowed to have these type of cravings, even one as strange as this?
I don't know. I don't care. I will surely go mad if I can't have some of that Rapunzel. Can you please go get some and bring it back to me?
That's the old hag's garden. She'll surely kill me if she sees me, for I think she may well be a witch.
If you love me, you will find a way to get me that Rapunzel.
And so the man climbed over the wall into the old hag's garden to satisfy his wife's craving and steal the Rapunzel. Once inside, he searched for the Rapunzel, and when he found it, he carefully selected leaves to cover up any sign that he'd been in the garden stealing.
Some versions of the story replaced the rampion with parsley or other herbs that might have been readily available at the time. There is a lot of frustration in that story. Most of all, I think it resides in the witch, the one who's presented always as the villain of the story.
The lot of women in past ages was extremely hard. They were denied power over their own affairs, sometimes usually over their own bodies. And they were bound to marry whether they wanted to or not. They were bound to have children whether they wanted to or not. But they had no say in their own fates.
I watched you through the window. Where is it?
Here you are.
Oh, it's wonderful. Look how green and alive it is. Oh, I've never had anything more delicious in my whole life. Oh, I shall make a salad with it.
When she couldn't wait another moment, she ate it all up.
There's an old folk belief that lettuce will enter your body's milk, and that lactation will be helped by eating lettuce, so that the enchantress has grown something that becomes a part of the birthing process, that she's in on it.
Though she ate all of the Rapunzel, it didn't quench her craving. In fact, it made it worse.
There's something very magical about this Rapunzel, this rampion that she picks and wants so much, because it feels like it's somehow right. It will ensure the safety of her baby. It will save her life. I mean, I think death in childbirth is a relevant historical context for that.
Oh, you've got to help me.
My love, what's the matter?
Oh, you've got to get me more of that Rapunzel or I'm gonna die. Go now, I can't take it.
So, back the man went, back over the wall, back into the garden to get his wife the sweet, fragrant Rapunzel that was driving her wild with desire.
Stop, thief!
Coming up, the man must pay for his crime.
You took what you wanted, now I get what I want.
The bargain that characters are willing to make in a fairy tale seem pretty outlandish in the long run.
It leads to mutilation, imprisonment, and a hideous curse only true love can cure. The man whose wife so craves the sweet Rapunzel was caught red-handed.
Dare you sneak into my garden, steal my sweet Rapunzel?
Please show some mercy, madam. I only did what I had to do. My poor wife has been driven crazy by the fragrant Rapunzel in your garden. Her cravings are so strong, she feared she might die, and she asked me to get her some.
That's quite fragrant. I wasn't sure the scent would carry all the way through your window, but I guess it did. If what you say is true, then I will allow you to take as much Rapunzel as you can carry. That should satisfy your wife's cravings once and for all.
Thank you, madam. You've been so kind and thoughtful.
Not so fast, my friend. You must be punished. You entered into my garden without my permission, and for that I must punish you.
But, madam...
You took what you wanted, now I get what I want. Your wife, she is with child, is she not?
You know, a wise woman who knows herbs and how to help the baby be born might turn around and, you know, curse you or blight your crops or blight your cattle. And often when a witchcraft persecution would brew up, the first people accused would be the village wise woman.
Since I saved her life, as you say, you won't mind handing over the child when the time is right?
What?
Don't worry, I will take care of the thing like it was my own. I will give it everything it could ever want or need.
The bargain that characters are willing to make in a fairy tale in order to get what they need in the short run seem pretty outlandish in the long run. A father promising his firstborn to a witch.
If our precious daughter you want, you shall have her, but please just let me go back to my cottage.
Go. Enjoy the fruits of my labor. I shall see you again soon enough.
When the man returned home, he explained to his wife his encounter with the old hag and the promise she forced him to make. And when the time came, some months later, the man and his wife kept their promise. And the old hag took the child they had hoped and prayed for many years.
Marked you as mine, and everyone who encounters you shall know it. I will protect you like you are my own flesh and blood.
The enchantress, in some versions, doesn't get the child after it's been born, and she meets Rapunzel, and still the parents refuse to release the girl. So at some point, the witch just gets fed up and bites off her finger, and that's a serious warning to the mother.
The sorceress named the girl Rapunzel after the bewitched herb. So beautiful was she that the sorceress used her magic to construct a tall tower, and then she locked Rapunzel in the room at the very top.
Often the tower is imagined as a tower with no entrance, no stairs, so it has a kind of mystical significance. It's up near the clouds.
There you go, my dear. I don't want any unworthy youth stealing your honor.
Rapunzel is so much about our need to contain desire. Everything is forbidden to her. She's not allowed to communicate with anyone.
And so, Rapunzel was imprisoned in the tower, unable to escape and unable to speak with anyone except the old hag whom she knew as her mother. For as long as she was kept in that tower, her hair grew and grew with no one to cut it. And whenever the old hag came to visit Rapunzel, which she did at least once every day, she'd cry out from below.
Rapunzel! Rapunzel! Let down your hair.
And this was the way Rapunzel lived for years, living alone in the tower with only the old hag to visit her. Until one day, when a handsome prince found the tower in the woods and overheard the old hag demand Rapunzel hoist her up.
Rapunzel! Rapunzel!
In the Middle Ages, young girls were locked up all the time. They were locked up in convents. They were locked up at home.
Rapunzel! Rapunzel! Let down your hair!
Rapunzel, thinking the old hag had come back, let her hair down for the prince.
Rapunzel, did you forget something?
Rapunzel, locked in the tower by the sorceress, is terrified by a handsome prince who enters her chamber.
Please stop screaming, miss. I mean you no harm. It's just that I saw you when your godmother climbed your tresses. And you are the most beautiful, fair-haired maiden I have ever seen.
You don't belong here. My mother Gothel placed me up here to protect me from the likes of you.
There's a common theory that Rapunzel is based on the life of Saint Barbara, who was a Christian living in the late Roman Empire, 3rd century AD, whose pagan father imprisoned her in a tower, ostensibly to keep her away from immorality, but probably to keep her away from other Christians, and that St. Barbara prayed for deliverance and the wall opened up and she was able to leave. And her father hunted her down and cut her head off.
I have no wish to harm you. I just wish to sit with you for a moment, gaze upon your enchanting face, and drink in your beauty.
You're a very kind young man. Not so sure why I was so frightened. You are very handsome. You don't seem to have a single flaw.
Thank you for your kind words, but look here. I am missing a joint on this finger. It was bitten off when I was just a boy, and I hardly remember the circumstances. But you see, I'm not as perfect as I seem.
How odd. I have the very same imperfection. Look here at my hand. It is missing the very same joint on the very same finger.
Perhaps this is a sign that we are meant to be together.
Perhaps. I wouldn't know.
And so, Rapunzel and the prince fell in love. Each evening he would climb her braids, and each morning he would leave before the old hag arrived for her daily visit. After many months, Rapunzel conceived a plan to rescue herself.
It was so shocking somehow that Rapunzel would be having sex in that tower with this guy climbing up her hair, that's what got edited out, as opposed to any of the violence. And the Grimm brothers upped the violence later. They added in some stuff. But that was shocking to me, to think that there would be any reference to Rapunzel having sex. It just feels like he climbs up her hair and then, you know, they talk.
I want to go away with you.
I want you to come live with me. I just can't figure out how to get you out of this tower.
As the prince and Rapunzel together schemed and planned her escape, one day, Rapunzel was talking with the old hag.
Mother Gothel, I'm so confused. How come all of my clothes are getting tighter? Nothing fits, and I'm most uncomfortable around my middle.
Wicked child, what did you do? I thought I shut you off from the world, protected you from the rapacious men of the countryside, and you betray me!
No! No! Mother Gothel, no, please! No, Mother Gothel, please, no!
I'll make it so no one will want to look at you ever again!
No!
I will turn you into the dog you are!
The old hag cast an evil spell on Rapunzel, transforming her beauty.
Rapunzel actually ends up with a dog's face and has to be somehow disenchanted. It's almost a Beauty and the Beast version. The enchantress decides that the way to really put a curse on Rapunzel is to make her ugly, to disfigure her in some way.
Rapunzel ran into the woods to hide her hideous face. Unaware of Rapunzel's confrontation with the old hag, the prince came to the tower to rescue her.
Rapunzel! Let down your hair! Rapunzel! My love, let's go. It's time.
Ha! Here for your beautiful love. Rapunzel is no more. You will never see her again!
The prince, blinded by briars at the base of the tower and heartbroken at the loss of Rapunzel, wandered off into the forest. Rapunzel, who was also wandering the forest with little to eat, went into labor and delivered twins, a boy and a girl, whom she sheltered. Months later, it so happened that the blind prince stumbled upon the dog-faced Rapunzel taking care of their 2 children.
Oh, sir, I'm sorry I didn't see you there. Please don't look at my face, for I'm not really as I appear. Oh, my love. My God, what's happened to you?
Is this my love? My Rapunzel?
It is, my sweet. I'm here taking care of our 2 children.
My prayers have been answered. My Rapunzel.
As Rapunzel's tears fell into the prince's eyes, her sorrow restored his sight.
My love. Oh, I've longed to see your face again. My Rapunzel.
And as the sorrow in her tears restored his eyes, the love in his kiss destroyed the curse and restored her beauty. With that, we close our book of scary tales, for now at least, until another story beckons, another sun sets, another page turns.